YouTube what's going on while we're going to look at cars. And a lot of cool stuff rolled into the collection the past few weeks. Small stuff, we're going to look at 1/64 scale. Well, let's look at Greenlight. We're going to see a lot of things. Got Greenlight, got M2, got Auto World, Tarmac Works, and Mini GT. So, lots of good stuff. Let's take a look. Black Bandit. The Black Bandit series, well, they only have one kind of retailer that really carries them unless you want to go online. So we found this one here. Black Bandit. They're going to make a Black Bandit car of every new casting that they introduce. And the Cherokee is no exception. A lot of times Black Bandit comes out with the first batch of the casting. Sometimes it seems like I see them later on, maybe after a few of these castings have been out. So this is Black Bandit Series 25, and it's a 90 Cherokee. So let's take a look. Here's the package. Nothing too crazy to look at there. We've seen that before, and then those are the vehicles. So they got the Bronco and the Tahoe and all that stuff. The Patrol. S10. I don't have the S10. Don't really know if I need it. This thing is completely black. No Black Bandit Ghost graphics on the door or anything like that. But they did the Cherokee Steelies. Just did them all black. Number 2443 on the serial. And these Cherokees, they rely on that axle system to set the actual stock ride height, not even the lifted height. We'll see if they do a lifted version of one of these eventually. We'll see. Be kind of cool. Put some accessories on it. Well, dusty, huh? Black shows everything. So 90 Cherokee still running off basically the same panels as the one in 84. They really didn't change this vehicle until the redesign in 97. They did kind of like a little bit of a smooth job on the car and updated some things. Interior got some updates, new seats, dash, steering wheel, that kind of thing. Basically, this all center section stayed the same. Window glass pretty much stayed the same, but they updated the whole doghouse, cowl, windshield wipers, and the back lift gate. That was all done, and bumpers. So you can see the difference if you look it up. So 97 to basically 2001, they had that rounded look to them. So we've been through this casting before, kind of cool. 1990, Chrysler was pretty much taking full control of the vehicle, and it's got the AMC 4-liter in it, but it had multi-port Chrysler fuel injection. So that was kind of good. Good little matchup there. You get that thing in an automatic transmission or a stick shift. They had 5-speed manual, and it was very nice to have with the inline 6. Very, very nice. All right, moving on. Let's keep going. I think that's really the only Greenlight. Let's move on to some M2 cars. So this is a recent release. This is release 70 of their wide release. I don't think it's like a Walmart exclusive or anything. So like the Meyer around here too will have it. This is going to be one in 9600. Seems like they've been using 9600 a lot. This is a 59 GMC truck. And this is the full opening feature version. Not the kind of the carded ones that they have. It's these box set trucks. Cars from M2. Typically have a little bit more detail to them. It caught my eye. They use this silly dually system, which is ridiculous, but the rest of it's cool. You know, this truck would be good. I should have bought two. Kind of like this old school utility box. It would probably be good on some other chassis, but maybe converting this truck to a 4-wheel drive chassis. I'm just kind of curious to see if that swaps over. And it's got that rare like work truck front end that you don't see too much. You know, they had this really, really old school base model truck with that grill and the single headlight and all that. Looks like they put the inline 6 engine plate in there. It's kind of cool. GMC was known for having that heavy-duty V6 engine too in the 60s. That was kind of neat. Basic black interior. Just very nice tampo work. I didn't do anything to this truck yet. Usually these M2s I screw with, and we'll see an M2 that I did have to put my hands on. But this one, I think, did okay. It's got that roof rack on there. You could probably put like a ladder or like pipes on there, thing like that. Door detail. Sales and service. Gonna go out there and take care of your vehicles. It's got the really good turquoise paint, so I like it. The wheel covers are cool too. That's another thing that caught my eye. And they put it on the heavy duty tire, so it wasn't those crappy tires. So even if I needed these tires, which I usually do, they swapped to a lot of trucks that look good. So anyway, kind of neat. And this is a 59, so this body was out 57. Kind of were doing this stuff. 57, I think 56 is still the older style. But yeah, this went to like the 60s, early 60s, and then they changed the truck again in the mid 60s. Alright, move on. Put the old girl back here. This is a good layout truck too, kind of looks cool in the background. So I don't know, I might turn to 4-wheel drive. I think that'll look kind of neat. So stay tuned on that one. Let's see how that goes. Alright. Well, this is I don't get all these Mustangs because like the 3rd gen F-body Camaro, these Mustangs can be pretty crazy with the graphics, but this was a one that they kind of had back then. I mean, the blue is a little off, but you see that blue stripe on that gray lower. I mean, they had cars like that. This is a 88 car. This is the full GT package. You can get the 8-cylinder and the LX too. LX would be basically the base trim car, but you had this engine, so you had the multi-port 5-liter in it. So you had the pushrod 5-liter with the multi-port fuel injection. So it was just a great package. Very simple, very reliable actually. Once Mustang started doing these small blocks when the Fox body took over 79, they quickly went to the full roller setup. So roller cam and push rod setup, I think. Well, yeah, roller cam. Wasn't roller rockers or anything, but it was pretty nice setup, and it lasted quite a bit. You can put some good miles on it. They do a really good job, I must say, on the interiors. We'll look at the F-body here in a minute, but look at the interior on this Mustang. So we had a pre-airbag wheel in that car. Didn't get it until 1990, so that was the steering wheel after about 87, I think. Once they got these round headlights, got rid of that deep 80s look with the square stuff. So this is really the look that carried into 92, 93, and then of course 94. 93, 94, they changed them out to that new body style. Really good masking on the doors. See how they have the flat black? I mean, so this is all done without me changing it. The only thing that's bothersome is the tires. They're a little square shouldered. They're a little big. But 1988 GT wheel looked like that. They were going to move on to the next wheel after this, but can't remember what it looked like offhand, but I know that this was kind of an earlier style. So I think this car looks pretty good. The headlights are going to have to be taken off and reset. As you can see, they're kind of sticking out a little bit. But the bumper's good, and so is the rear bumper. Unlike Greenlight's bumper, basically they'll do the GT car. Everything will have the GT ground effects except for the back, and they'll have the LX rear bumper on it. So it's kind of a disappointment when you see if you know these cars and you look at the Greenlight GT casting, it's kind of off. Let's look at the engine real quick. I had to adjust this hood, kind of wanted to stay up on its own. There's our 5-liter intake. And it's funny, if you notice this on Crown Vic and I think even Explorer, the truck, Lincoln's, intake's flipped. And the airbox over here, and then they put other stuff over here. It's kind of funny. A Mustang really is one of the few that have it facing this direction. That's just a Ford geek out thing there. So, pretty cool. Again, this funny metallic paint. You can see like it's very shiny, some of the flakes, and then some of them are kind of muted. So, that's a characteristic of M2's paint. The shades are always close, but they're never dead on. Unlike, like Auto World and Greenlight, their paints are pretty close, but these are always really super close, but they're never exactly. I don't know why. To my eye, anyway. Ford had this color, but it wasn't exactly like this, especially in person. So I don't know what that is. The other thing we're gonna do this car, they match the color of the wheels to this. This is not right. This needs to be more silver. So we're gonna do a swap there as well with some color. All right, next. Now this was the one that really caught my eye. Again, I got the Ford Gid because it didn't have the bright graphics and the silly paint jobs. Same thing with this. So this is a muscle series. I didn't look at this part of it, but the Mustang stamped the same way. They're doing this little M2 Detroit muscle release 62. Got the heartbeat on this one. We saw the Ford. Yeah, it just had Ford Mustang back there. This is a little bit cooler. I think this might come out. This would be a good backdrop for the shop, I think. So 8,400 pieces, just like the Ford. This is a little earlier car, say 85, but 85 is good for third gen. That's the first year IROC Z came out on the third gen platform. So we had this IROC car. They also dropped in year after the 4-cylinder. You can get a 4-cylinder in this car. Iron Duke 2.54, and then they went to the V6 and the V8. This is a really sweet car. Now, I did do some adjustments, and we'll talk about that, but soak it in. We've looked at this kind of before, but it always had like drag tires on it and things like that. This is what I was hoping to find. They had some that are close. They had some two-tone ones, but I wanted this kind of simple car. This is just a plain white vehicle with the IROC rims. Nicely fitting hood. Ground effects aren't messed up. Wheels are in scale. M2's interiors are really cool too. Now this is going to come out and get painted. I'm going to do the black carpet dash. Half the lower door cards back here, and we'll paint the seats white because we could get those white seats. So the car will look kind of cool that way. But other than that, the only other thing I got to say, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up in this lighting condition, but I don't think the base coat's white, but somewhere in between the base coat and if they cleared the car, I don't know if this single stage probably is, but it's pink. There's a pink hue in this white, so it's really frustrating. It's not really a white car. Don't want to repaint the car because I don't have these, graphics basically to reproduce, so we'll just have to leave it with the little pink hue, but I really like M2's scaling on the third gen. It just looks awesome. Very sharp. You got your Camaro front end. Really done well, as you can see. They got their modular base design. Of course, with all the cars that they've been doing, we've noticed that they always have this plastic insert. We can swap that out. If we take this chassis off, there's 2 screws holding this down from the other side. So it's not even glued in on this one. For some of you that have sharper eyes, you can see that some of the modifications are evident underneath when I flip it. So I put some spacers here, and then I flipped the axles to brass. I bought brass axles because I wanted a thicker axle than the music wire I had, and actually the brass cuts cleaner and with less force. We'll show it. Since everybody asks, what am I using? So I found this one. This is 3/64 brass rod. It seems to match up perfectly with the OEM sizes. So this is what I recommend now. I've version 2.0 for my axles. That music wire is really strong, but it's not necessary, and I like the brass. It's almost self-lubricating because it's softer than the diecast and the steel. So, and then of course, if you're using the right gauge, there's going to be less slop in these factory-sized holes. So this really is pretty much matching up pretty perfectly with what Auto World, Greenlight, M2 uses for the thickness of their axles. So here it is. And this one has a stock TPI engine, so it's kind of like a hybrid. They have 2-port car, and then the LT1 after it. This is kind of right before that. I think this was using OptiSpark. I can't remember. So GM put, they wanted to have a low deck height. So there's your intake runner here. Throttle body's right there. Fuel injectors are right there on the intake runners, etc. I can't remember if this had the distributor, regular distributor, but later on with the LT1, which this car got, and I wrote a note because I always forget the years. I know the Ford's better. So this is still a 305, but the 350 was available in 87 and later. So this is an 85 car, right? So it's going to be the small block 305 instead of the 350. This car did get the 350. Monte Carlo never got it, unfortunately. So really this car and the Vet. And the Vet obviously was running 350s forever just because they had to be the king in terms of the power. The other thing too, they always split the intake runner for the air box. I always thought that was kind of cool on these cars. So yeah, but yeah, they would run in a Spark distributor, the Spark distribution down there, really in front of the water pump, and they call it OptiSpark, and they had that issue where, if it broke or the water pump failed, you'd basically take out your distributor at the same time because you blew the water coolant all over everything. And of course, it's always a pain in the butt to get into these cars. You really got to go underneath on a lot of projects with the tight space. But all that being said, the Ford was a lot easier to work on, I'd say, but this car has its charm, doesn't it? So, yeah, we talked a little bit more about this one just because I liked it and kind of brought it out of me. All right, we're going to go next to Auto World. So they finally brought back an old casting that they've used for many years ago, probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, the Plymouth Car. Now, this isn't a Roadrunner, but it also shared the platform, of course, with the lowly Plymouth Satellite, in which they made the coupe, the sedan, and the wagon. So, but really, the Roadrunner was the upper echelon. This car had the bigger engine choices. Where did my... Oh, that's right. I cut the whole thing off, so I don't have the plastic on this one. So this is one of 14,910. This will be finally 2022 release. We've been still getting 21s in, so this is half the year's over with already. So release 1 version B. I really was looking forward to finding the green car, which is, I guess, version A. So version A has not been released. I feel like sometimes when Walmart gets these in, maybe half the stores only get version B, the other half get A. Maybe it's split up the country. Sometimes when I've seen version B or version A cars, I'll never see the counterpart ever. So it's terrible. But again, it's the thrill of the chase. There's the cars in the set. I got everything for version B except the truck, of course. Those always seem to go first, but we'll look at the rest. And of course, we've seen the truck, and they're pretty much on every release. So this was a welcome addition. I mean, we haven't seen this car release for a while. Like I said, I still got the one in the package, the black one with the white roof. Never taken it out, so I really wanted one out of the package, and here it is. So this is in this blue color. What are they calling this? It's like almost like a petty blue, but this is Basin Street Blue. This is a 73. The car went up to 74. Auto World's done 73 and 74 castings. This is going back to the 73 front end. 74 had more of an egg crate, crosshatch grill. This has the more of a horizontal setup. And these cars had 383, 400 cubic inch. They also had 440s. I don't think Roadrunner had anything less than V8s. I don't think they were like the satellites that had the 6s. You could get 4-speed, 3-speed manual, and then a 3-speed automatic on this car. I think 73. I mean, basically every year the car kept getting slower, because of the emission standards. But the satellite kind of went to the stuff first, and then this car kind of got strangled because they really didn't have the Charger. Dodge still had Charger up to 74 as well. This was not the full fuselage look. It's funny that they didn't do the 71, 72 car, which had that wraparound bumper and more of the fuselage look. This car, you know, we're starting to put the crash standard bumpers on it, so it's not as slick looking, I think, as that first side of that 70s car. So we got the tall tires from the original Auto World days, so these came back. These go on most of all the Mopars, these tall ones. So this hood doesn't go out to the front, so we'll have to open it up this way. It's a 440 car, right? So there it is. And it would have had the Roadrunner horn on it too still, so it would have done that beep beep stuff. And of course it's got the Roadrunner on the, I guess that would be the C or pillar, because it's so far back. There she is, or there he is. And there he is again. Look at him. You can barely see him. Yeah, 440 Roadrunner plate. Really can't tell exactly what state that is. Maybe Michigan. Who knows? I can't really see. Probably be able to see it when I blow it up on the computer screen. And then, of course, our matching blue interior. So, bucket seat and all that. So, it's a great looking car. I'm glad I finally got it. You know, after all these videos and looking at cars, Auto World especially, got this thing on camera. So, I'm pleased with it. I really I hope I find that mint green one. Well, if I don't find them, we'll just have to buy it. But these will be popular. I think a lot of people like this car. It's really not something that's been cast. Maybe Johnny Lightning's done it. Maybe some others, but not much, and not to this degree of accuracy. So, I think we're in good shape getting more of these. So, all right, put a second row starting up here, I guess. I think that would be appropriate. Okay. Now, let's look at this thing. This thing looks like it highlights your taxes. Look at this. So this is a Nickey ZL-1 car. So this is a supercharged vehicle. ZL-1's just the 1LE, so it's got the extra handling package. We've seen this car casting before. Nickey cars usually turn up the horsepower. And they'll give you different, sometimes wheels, maybe a different arrow, you know, some stitching. A lot of times Nickey will do like leather, their own leather and stuff. So this is something like that. Now we're going to have the 1LE wheels, huge wheels, very wide. It helps with cars like this. If you have a front engine car, rear wheel drive, you know, the front matters a lot, how you set it up. So that's why they went for, you know, since it's so heavy up there, this huge fat tires, so, you know, they're going to try. This paint was, you know, thick. You have to put this on pretty thick. There's still some ghosting around it, but it's very bright. You might have to adjust your screen resolution for this one. I haven't went around and touched up any of the black like I usually do. I will with this once it's off camera, but just to get an idea under magnification what it looks like. But this can get cleaned up and get much sharper with a zero brush, so we'll get that done. But here it is. We've seen this before. Let's see if we can get a look at what's under the hood here. Of course, 1LE cars usually have the flat black hood. Just a really good deep casting in there too. This would be a separate plastic piece, and then they just kind of smash it in there. So that's how they get that nice depth around the engine bay. That also could probably be painted black, but you'd have to drill this car apart, so I'll think about it. Also, I'll probably want to, take a look here, fill this black in too at some point, get that looking right. So there's a lot of detail in this casting. It just sometimes needs to be brought out with some penmanship from your brush. So we got Illinois plate on there. Huh. This is called Shock. This color, I guess, is what they're calling it. Pretty cool. There's your information. Alright. Enough of that. Let's go to the next one. Alright. Another car that's returned for after an absence with an update. This is going to be the 73 Ford Mustang Mach 1 in Ivy Bronze Poly, so dark green. So I was happy to find this color. I forget what the other color is going to be on, I guess, version A. And there's your barcode. Of course, same back, just color-coded front, which is really cool. Alright. So I did remove the spoiler on this. It was peaking up really high. And actually, the spoiler on this car is really talled up, too. So it's going to come off and get shaved. But this body style, this fastback body, looks really good without the spoiler. Because the spoiler is in scale, but it's kind of thick. So this casting is done really well. Here's a spoiler if we need to see what it... if you need to visualize it, we can put it on real quick. If it just kind of stays there, but it probably won't. But anyway, I like this car. I love the green, and it's got the green interior. It's got the Mach 1 stripe. Now, Mach 1 moved to the rear of the car. I was looking at the 72 cars, and it was in the front over here. So I thought that was kind of interesting. You can barely read it. And I also tuned up the wheels. I did not have to space them, but I also axle swapped this car. They were kind of bent, so we got that kind of better. There is some run out on these wheels, though. As you can see, it kind of makes this rise up and down. And that's just the way this has been machined. I don't think it's crooked on the axle. So just things I notice. So this car really was like a third iteration of the same platform introduced in '64. I've kind of told us that before, but if you compare it to this car, and this is like a 68, 67 car, really doesn't matter. 70, 69, basically the same. They just really just added width. They actually added width and length to the car. I don't think the wheelbase was the same, but you can see basically same power plant, same shock tower, same firewall, all that stuff, floor pan. It's just they just added a lot to the exterior, to the tune of 800 pounds, believe it or not. So really, they just gave up. A lot of people said after 71 Ford, this was like, forget it, muscle cars are done, and they proceeded accordingly. As we all know, the 74 to 78 period with the Ford Mustang 2 and all those just sloppy, slow vehicles. Well, this is kind of the start of that. But really, it's a cool car. It's coming back around, and I kind of like it. I used to hate it many years ago, but I kind of like it now. And of course, the power problem, that's not really a problem. I mean, we can put whatever we want in these cars at this point. So this car can go as fast as you want it to, basically. So and the power can match the looks, and I think that's what was missing on the car, and I think why people didn't want it. But this is a cool car, and we've looked at them in the other colors. And of course, there's your 73 front end, which is that 73 year, right before they got rid of this car. So you can see the grille change there. So pretty neat. It's very shiny base. They've changed the zinc content or something. A lot of these bases have been coming back real shiny instead of that dark gray. So who knows why? Maybe they changed their plant or their metal content, or maybe we're getting a fresh ingot that were cast for this car. Who knows? Alright, we're going to go real quick through these two because we've seen them before, but I was excited to find them. Firethorn Poly. A lot of people don't like these big barge cars, except for me. So even if, let's say Walmart puts out 3 or 5 cases of these cars, everything gets taken except the luxury cars. So at least I have that going for me, being something that no one else wants. This is a cool car. This red on red looks a lot better than the red with white that they did last time. This is more of a cinnamon color, so I really do like it. Only problem with this one is the tires are terrible. Look at that back tire, just horrendous. So these are a little bit better, the driver's side. So we'll have to address that, but we'll just have to do a wheel swap or something, or a tire swap. Just an amazing, this car was released a year ago, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and they've just been getting better. And look at the casting on that engine, just tremendous, right? Very, very good. A lot of detail. A little bit crooked there on the radiator support and the bracket for your air conditioning. I think that's the accessories bracket on this car, but a little crooked, but that's okay. Still kind of clean in there. You got your nice pinstripe job. You got your Cadillac wheel covers with the Cadillac crest. Got our nice red interior. Front wheel drive car. Big block Cadillac. 500 cubic inch, really. And 472s. But I think in this year, this was a, what is it, 77 as well? I mean, they made this car up to, this is a 75. We started in, the 60s, but they kept moving this car forward. I think this finally got out of here in 78, I think was the last year. 77 was for this body. Something like that. Then 79, 78 car downsized front end. Downsized car, much smaller. Just a huge front wheel drive vehicle. We've seen this before. Just wanted to look at the new updated color. You want to look at some more information on this, go back on the channel. The first release of this, the green car, we talked a little bit more about that vehicle in depth. Alright, very excited to find this one as well. Of course, the dark green one is one I really want, but this gold one is really like a... this was like the Diamond Jubilee color, but even though this is what is this? That's 78, so yeah, Diamond Jubilee, Jubilee Gold, 78 Continental. It's kind of same chassis as the Mark IV, Mark V flagship model. Of course, for everything that Ford ever did. This is the top of the pyramid, supposedly. But yeah, so 75 years of Ford Motor Company in 1978. So this car is 77 through 79, as we talked about on our 1/18 scale. And this is a version of the Golden Jubilee. They had this car, I think, also in silver, or the Diamond Jubilee. They had a silver and a gold one. This is the gold. So this is how Auto World's wheels come from the package. See how they just spray them. Really doesn't look like that in real life. They had some of that silver, and the gold was actually in between the spokes. So I kind of replicated that on this side. I wanted you to actually visualize the difference that you can do just detailing your car pretty simply. I put a little silver on that, and pop, there it goes. So look at that compared to that, and you can see. So I left that like that for a while to let everybody show the difference side by side. So this had the 460 in it. On this one, 400 was available with the Ford 460 with the C6 4-speed auto. I don't think this is going to open because it's a little tight. So let's not scratch the paint right now. We've seen it on the blue car. Here's the blue one. I have not had the black one yet. Black one needs to come to the collection, so we'll get that. And there's our opera window there, and our fake Continental kit bumper, and trunk pan and all that stuff. Look at that. So just really cool. What a wonderful car. So nice to have this one. All right. So I got most of them, right? Just didn't get everything. All right. Let's look at. Hopefully this battery keeps with us. Let's go to these mini GTs, and let's get on with it. So this is a NA Mazda MX-5 Miata. This has a left-hand drive car, so specified. And this is the. I just waited for the Miho release instead of having to get the China one. That was just the box, so we got that like that. And of course the box is really sweet. So that new Mini GT box style, the graphics are awesome. This car is awesome. So this is like a tuned version. It's got the roll bar. It's got the little mini lights on it, kind of like wheels, deep dish, metal base. They also have a popped up headlight version. Obviously I didn't like that. Just want a nice simple car. Interior's sweet. It's got the replacement seats on it. Steering wheel looks replaced too. And of course we got our soft mirrors. So this car, 1.6 to start. This car came out in 1989. This body style went to 97. In the early 90s, I think 94, they did from 1.6 to a 1.8. So those cars are more desirable. And very rock solid. I mean, it's a twin cam, inline 4-cylinder, 5-speed manual, or they had an automatic version for people that absolutely had to do that. But this car is great. Driven pretty much all the Miatas, even this first gens, and they're awesome. So They're just really, they're tiny. They're really small, but it's nice to have a car like this because if you drive the British cars, they're good too. But again, they're not maybe as reliable if you're not mechanically sound. So if you're not a person that really likes to work on stuff and keep it tuned up, this car might be one for you because they really do drive. And they're very simple, and all the aftermarket stuff at this point makes them pretty cheap to hang out with. So, just a cool car. You got the pipe on there, and got your top down, so they kind of molded that in. I mean, it looks good. It's a great car. No opening details, of course. This is Mini GT, but everything worked perfectly. I didn't have to adjust the wheels or tires whatsoever. So I was very pleased with this car. Very, very pleased. Alright, so she'll park over there. And then this one was very exciting for me to get. One of my favorite cars. I love rallying. The 80s and, well, really the 70s to the 90s was a really cool time in rallying. And this represents that. Now, Lancia, the Italians, I guess they say. Sometimes people call Lancia, but it's really Lancia, I guess, is this. So this is a Delta HF Integrale Evoluzione. This is one of the last of the HF cars. The Lancia Delta, was from late 70s, early 80s car, and it had this hatchback style. Really was a four-cylinder front-wheel drive car. It eventually introduced all-wheel drive pretty early, and that's when the 037 was still competing. The rear-wheel drive car that they were doing in Group B. And that led to the S4 Delta, which was an incredible four-wheel drive, supercharged and turboed. Well, the Group B was disbanded after 86, 87. So this car came on, I think, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, somewhere in there into 92. And this was a winning car as well. Now, this one doesn't have the as raced, because they also make one with the graphics from one of the rallies. This one's kind of just a martini livery without any, roundels or any numbering on it. This is an all-wheel drive turbo car, four-cylinder, pretty fast, about 200 horse, maybe a little bit more when they tuned it up, but that's kind of what the reports were saying. And good car, really, really cool. Great detail on this. Tremendous. I mean, you have the seats, and then you have the spare tire that they put in the back there, and then you can see the trellising of the roll cage. So I think it's a great car. You got the rolled up mud flaps there, and the wheels are just perfect. So very, very happy about this car. Very, very cool car. Quick car. One of the last to the best that they put out. They pretty much retired from rallying, I think, after this car was put out in competition form. So it's kind of sad, but what a cool car, and it rolls just good, so you can see how well it does. So I'm very happy about this car, and I think it looks cool. Hopefully it'll start more 164 scale rally. I have some bigger scale rally cars that we might look at, because that is an interest of the collection. I just haven't shown too many of them. And the last one we'll get on tape, which a lot of people looked at, but let's look at it together. I guess this is based on a car that's been around for a while in the quote-unquote stanced custom scene. This is a car that's been through some changes, but, they've done a lot of extensive... The owner did a lot of work to the chassis, like very extensive work, like moving the axle center lines and stuff. So Tarmac Works gives us a serial number and their social media presence. I've looked at that before. It's got this cool European scene background there. And then we have our little acrylic case with the bricks. So, these cars are about $17, $15 to $25, depending on where you go. Let's see if we can get a screwdriver here. There it is. Yeah. So let's take a look. The good thing about M2 is they give you a bunch of usable screwdrivers. So this is like a Mini GT, really just times 2 in terms of the details. So very delicate. Of course, it doesn't roll, but I think we can fix that. So we'll probably get that fixed. But look how cool this is. This rolls very nice. No, it doesn't roll very nice, but it will. But just a lot of detail on the car. So I don't get too many of these Tarmac cars unless they're the 4-wheel drive, because we got that Land Cruiser and that rolls just fine. But the look is there. And we'll probably, if we don't want to screw with this car and make it roll, we'll just keep it in the package, because it is cool. It's a green car too, and it's a brick, Volvo brick. This car has been around for a minute. These cars have been from, I think, what were we talking? I think like what was it, the 70s? Yeah, 74 to 1993, the 200 series. And they had a V6, they had diesel 4-cylinder, they had 4-cylinder gas, they had automatics, they had manuals, they had everything. And they're rear-wheel drive cars, so they're very popular even today for tuning and driving and rallying and all this stuff. They're very, very cool cars, very strong, and they're very iconic, I'd put it that way. So just a neat casting to have. And I think that little display case is cool. So they do make some good cars. So you'd say you'd want to invest or buy a Tarmac car just because you like the casting. I wouldn't say it would be something I just collect just to have them. Some people like that with Hot Wheels. I'm like that with Auto World. I mean, I might not like every single car to the 10th degree from Auto World, but I like the cars so much that they're fun to have. The colors are cool. Tarmac a little bit different. When I invest in something a little bit more pricey, I'd probably want a car I want in real life, or something that really is something that I've always liked. So these are cool cars. There's not too many Volvos in my collection, so I think this will fit in cool just right. Look at this. I also scored this recently at the antique store. Just a random mint condition Volvo. And these go for like $10-12 now. But I mean, I just couldn't believe it. This thing was loose. I bought it this loose, and the windscreen was perfect. All I did was wash it. But I'm getting distracted. I was just thinking about Volvos. This is a 700 series. Look at this thing. All right. So we got more cars on the way. We also have cars here that we should be looking at too. So I'll have to figure out what we want to talk about and things like that, but let's take it in. We saw some really cool ones. Got some Europeans this time, not just American stuff. So it's always good having those guys join for the fun. And hope everybody enjoyed it. And just know that more's to come, and we'll talk about all the cars we can. So thanks for all the nice comments, thumbs up, likes, subscribes. We all appreciate it. And stay tuned, more to come. Till next time.